From the reversal of affirmative action to the impact of climate change on communities of color, the NAACP plays a pivotal role in shaping national issues and policies. Tanisha Sullivan, president of the Boston branch NAACP, thanks for staying with us. Joining us now is Michael Curry, past president of the Boston branch, now serving on the National Board of Directors. The Supreme Court ruled last month on race-based admission to colleges, and the NAACP condemned the decision to eliminate affirmative action and said, quote, affirmative action exists because we cannot rely on colleges, universities, and employers to enact admissions and hiring practices that embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. Michael, what is the NAACP doing on a national level to ensure that Black students get into institutions?
Yeah, well, one, we know that this is a setback. So when you think about the purpose of affirmative action was the historical denial of Black and brown folks into our academic institutions. And affirmative action was a vehicle to ensure that we were present. I often say that it is an impact on all of us when that brilliant young African-American girl in Roxbury or Southside Chicago is not sitting at Harvard University or MIT to provide that brilliance that we all will rely on one day. It's a setback. So the NAACP has out of this decision has a responsibility to figure out what the strategy is around this decision to still make sure we're present in these college institutions. And the ripple effect of this doesn't affect affirmative action in many other areas.
That's right, because if you don't get into college, you don't graduate from college, you may not be prepared for a career. Tanisha, on a related topic, student loan debt, NAACP President and CEO Derrick Johnson said, quote, the Supreme Court abandoned Black borrowers and missed an opportunity to narrow the racial wealth gap in America. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it is important to note the connectivity between both the affirmative action decision coming out of the Supreme Court and the student loan debt decision. Both of them will have a disproportionate impact on Black and brown students and low-income students. And so for us in the NAACP, it is important that we continue to fight for those policies that are going to help ensure that all students, regardless of their background, have access. And so to that end, I think here locally, it's important for us to continue to work with our state Department of Education and the Secretary of Education, Secretary Pat Tutwiler, to ensure that we are advancing innovative policies that support the work of colleges and universities that want to maintain diversity. I also want to lift up that during the convention, we'll have the opportunity to share and expose some of our colleges and universities here in Massachusetts to students who will be here from across the country through a college summit that we are producing.
Very good, very good. Environmental and climate justice is another area of focus, from the water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi, to the impact of rising temperatures across the country. Tanisha, how has the NAACP been leading the climate justice movement?
Actually, environmental justice is one of probably the most impactful departments within the NAACP, with the recognition that the conversations about climate and environmental justice have to expand beyond the things and really need to center the people. And so while we're talking about lowering carbon emissions, for example, it's also important to talk about high asthma rates in communities of color and how that impacts our children. And so for us here in the NAACP locally, one of the things, again, I'm going to lift up during the convention we're really excited about is a partnership that we have with the New England Aquarium. More to come on that. And also during our career summit on Saturday, July 29th, we'll also be lifting up green economy so that we're not just talking about environmental and climate justice on the policy front, but we're also talking about the economic impacts and economic opportunity that exists within that space.
Tanisha mentioned asthma. Michael, you're the head of the Massachusetts League of Community Health Centers. How is the NAACP working to promote and achieve health equity?
Yeah, so I'd say one of the biggest challenges of our times as we look at morbidity and mortality rates across the country. I often lift up Rebecca Lee Crumpler, first African-American female physician in this country and from Massachusetts, who said they seem to forget there's a cause for every ailment and it may be in their power to remove it. That's what this health equity challenge is about. Maternal health numbers have come out recently, both here in Massachusetts, that shows that Black women are at higher risk of an adverse pregnancy and a death, both of the mother and the baby. California had some startling numbers. We have a challenge as an organization to really make sure that we center health equity, challenge our healthcare providers, our health plans, government institutions, public health, to meet the moment some 3 years after COVID-19. This is our moment. I say often, if not us, then who? And if not now, then when?
Mm-hmm. Now, Michael, do you have a sense of any new resolutions or positions that the NAACP is going to be taking on in the upcoming year?
Yeah, well, it's what keeps me up at night, because for the 2 or 3 weeks before the convention, I chair the board's advocacy and policy committee, all of the programmatic areas of the organization. The chairs sit on my committee. We will be taking up resolutions throughout the convention. And the reality is that's why we come together as a convention in the first place. All of the receptions, panel discussions, and all that's beautiful, but we come together as a body to vote on policy. Criminal justice, education, housing, healthcare will be all the topics that we'll take up throughout the convention.
All right. Tanisha Sullivan and Michael Curry, thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the convention.
Thank you.
Up next, the process of creating the convention, the local women-owned businesses designing and managing the big event. And next Saturday, check out the Career Summit at the Convention Center from 1 to 5 p.m. The free and open to the public event will feature conversations with experts offering deeper insight into the green economy, life sciences, sports, and financial services industries.